According to Gallup, 70% of the variance in team engagement is directly tied to the team leader. That means if your team is underperforming, disengaged, or quietly quitting, it's not about the economy, it's not about competitors, it's about leadership. And here's the opportunity. You can change that. Being a leader today isn't about giving commands or knowing all the answers. It's about navigating complexity, building trust, and guiding people through constant uncertainty. Leadership isn't just about execution anymore, it's about connection, adaptability, and the ability to inspire, not just direct. Today, I'll walk you through the three transformative leadership skills that matter more than ever. These are the essential tools that set thriving leaders apart, regardless of title, industry, or experience. If you want to build a high-trust, high-performance culture, these skills aren't optional. They are foundational. Let's dive in. Leadership used to be about stability. Now it's about agility, new technologies, distributed workforces, cross-generational dynamics, burnout, global change, all while trying to maintain performance, motivation, and culture. You might be leading a hybrid team with varied expectations. One person wants mentorship, another needs flexibility, a third is secretly disengaged. You're expected to motivate without micromanaging, innovate while under pressure, and communicate with impact every single day. These challenges also raise new ethical dilemmas. How transparent should you be about organizational instability? How do you balance empathy with performance when personal crises affect work? These aren't simple problems. They require nuanced leadership grounded in trust and emotional awareness. You can't lead others if you can't first lead yourself. Angela, a startup director, realized her sharp tone was hurting her team. She began coaching, learned to pause, and changed how she led meetings. Result, turnover dropped, collaboration improved, her team reconnected. Emotional intelligence means recognizing your emotional state, regulating responses before reacting, reading your team's subtle emotional cues. Ask your team in meetings, on a scale of 1 to 10, how supported do you feel right now? The follow-up is where the leadership begins. Communication isn't about volume, it's about resonance. A manager replaced data dumps with stories, client wins, personal insights, and team highlights. The result? Engagement rose by 32%. Retention stabilized. Effective leaders listen to understand. Communicate vision, not just to-dos. Ask powerful questions that unlock insight. Instead of asking, any questions? Try, what's unclear or missing that would help you take action? Change isn't a disruption anymore, it's a constant. Adaptable leaders don't just react. They reframe, respond, and rebuild quickly. When Marco's restaurant shut down, he retrained his team in delivery and launched a new brand in 2 weeks. Now, 3 thriving locations and the same team. Adaptability involves embracing failure as feedback, reinventing your strategy when needed, staying rooted in purpose, flexible in process. Ask yourself weekly, what should we stop doing to move forward smarter? Luisa led a talented but disengaged team. She was overwhelmed, her team unmotivated. The turnaround began with one shift, focusing inward. She got coaching, began leading with presence, and redesigned her team interactions. 6 months later, turnover dropped, productivity rose. Her team was ranked #1 in culture across the company. Luisa didn't change her team. She changed how she showed up. These skills matter because they touch every layer of leadership. Emotional intelligence equals inner leadership. Communication equals relational leadership. Adaptability equals contextual leadership. Master them, and you create a culture where people bring their full selves. Innovation becomes natural. Change feels like opportunity, not threat. It's not about charisma, it's about capacity. The capacity to connect, adjust, and lead with clarity. Let's go one step further. Strategic empathy. Empathy isn't just about kindness, it's about understanding what drives people and making decisions that support them while moving the mission forward. Strategic empathy asks, what's behind this behavior? Is it burnout, confusion, or misalignment? How can I meet the need without lowering the standard? This skill helps you manage complexity with humanity. When you lead with strategic empathy, your team doesn't just feel supported, they feel seen. And that creates loyalty you can't buy. To transform teams, you also need to cultivate visionary thinking. Visionary leaders don't just respond to what is, they anticipate what could be. They see around corners and help their teams prepare for opportunities and threats before they arrive. They ask questions like, what does success look like 2 years from now? What future challenge are we underestimating? Where should we experiment, even if we fail? Vision without execution is imagination, but execution without vision is busyness. Great leaders balance both. One final shift that separates transactional leadership from transformational leadership: ownership. Transformative leaders don't hoard decisions. They invite their teams into responsibility and authority. This looks like letting teams own problems and pitch solutions, encouraging peer accountability, rewarding initiative, not just results. When people feel like owners, they act like it. Ownership increases accountability, engagement, and innovation. Ask, if this team ran without me for a month, what would break? Then start developing others to lead those areas. One of the most underestimated leadership behaviors? Consistency. Your team might forgive mistakes, but they won't follow unpredictability. When your expectations shift weekly, when you celebrate wins one day and ignore effort the next, trust erodes. Great leaders are predictable in values, even if not always in decisions. Here's how consistency builds trust. You set expectations and reinforce them with action. You follow through on promises, even small ones. You model stability, especially in uncertainty. Ask yourself, how consistent am I in how I respond to stress, success, and setbacks? Because consistency isn't about rigidity, it's about reliability. In a fast-moving environment, reflection often gets sidelined, but it's one of the most powerful leadership habits you can develop. Reflection turns experience into wisdom. Every week, carve out time to ask, what did I do this week that built trust? Where did I react instead of lead? What patterns are repeating and why? Better yet, invite your team into reflection. Host short retrospective sessions, not just for projects, but for your leadership. Ask, what supported you well this week? What could I do differently next time? When leaders reflect out loud, growth becomes contagious because reflection creates alignment, and alignment leads to transformation. Let's recap. To lead powerfully in this moment and the next, you need emotional intelligence to manage yourself, effective communication to connect with others, adaptability to navigate change, strategic empathy to lead people, not just processes, visionary thinking to anticipate what's next, ownership culture to scale leadership beyond yourself. These are not checkboxes, they are cornerstones. Build these into your daily leadership, and you don't just lead better teams, you build a better culture. Which of these skills speaks to you most right now? Which one do you want to develop next? Leave a comment and let's talk. If this resonated with you, share it with a peer. Because leadership isn't a solo journey, it's a ripple effect. Be sure to subscribe. And don't miss the next video. How to build resilience when everything falls apart. It could be the most important leadership skill you build.